Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that might sound familiar, but trust me, there's a much bigger story hiding just beneath the surface. We're going to explore the gospel of the kingdom and trace its incredible story all the way from a tiny seed to a massive world-spanning tree. All right, let's get into it.
So, you've probably heard of the gospel of salvation, right? It's a message that's really focused on how a person can become a citizen in the kingdom of God. And that's absolutely vital. Don't get me wrong, it's a huge piece of the puzzle. But as we're about to see, it's just one part of a much, much bigger story.
So that begs the question, what is the gospel of the kingdom? If the message of salvation is how you get your citizenship, what's the kingdom itself all about? What's its history, its grand purpose, and where is it all heading?
And this is no small thing. According to this verse right here in Matthew, getting a handle on this gospel is a huge deal, like a world-changing event. It's described as a message that has to reach every single nation before this chapter of history wraps up. I mean, that's a pretty heavy statement.
To really get what the kingdom is, we've got to go back, way back to the very beginning, to when the seed was first planted. See, this isn't just a story about the future. It's a story that kicks off with the foundation of literally everything.
The whole story of the kingdom starts right here with the very first line of the Bible. The kingdom of God, from this perspective, isn't just some far-off spiritual place. Nope, it's everything, the spiritual and the physical, the heavens and the earth. This is the starting point we have to get. God's authority extends over all of creation.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because this sets up a fundamental worldview. The biblical view says that physical stuff, the dirt, the oceans, our bodies, was all declared very good. Matter is not the enemy. This is totally different from some ancient Greek ideas that saw the body as basically an evil prison for the pure spirit. And that difference is huge, because if creation is good, then the goal isn't to escape it. The goal is to restore it. Okay, so if everything started out very good, the obvious next question is, what happened? And that brings us to the major conflict in this whole story, a kind of unseen invasion that threw a wrench into that perfect beginning.
And this really gets to the heart of the issue, doesn't it? How do you square that very good creation with the world we see around us, a world that's often full of pain and decay? Every good story needs a villain, an antagonist.
Well, the answer the story gives is that sin and death were never part of the original blueprint. They're described more like invasive forces, things that broke into God's good kingdom from the outside. They created what's called a temporary problem, a kind of massive detour in history that God has been working to fix ever since.
So how does the story fix this massive problem? Well, the plan wasn't just random. It unfolds through history in two major stages, or covenants, and both of them are aimed at the very same end goal, restoration.
And this slide just lays out the two approaches so clearly. The Old Covenant put the responsibility for fixing things on human beings. And according to this view, it was actually designed to fail, to prove that human effort alone just wasn't going to cut it. The New Covenant, on the other hand, shifts all that responsibility onto Jesus Christ, and it's designed from the ground up to succeed. One shows the problem, and the other is the solution.
Okay, so we've got the story's beginning, we've got the central conflict, and we've got the master plan to fix it. So now, let's actually break down the kingdom itself. What are the nuts and bolts? What makes a kingdom a kingdom?
And let's just come back to our main metaphor for a second. This whole epic saga of history is seen as the growth of God's kingdom. It starts as that one little seed of creation, and it grows into this huge, incredible tree that eventually covers the entire earth. And that tree has a very specific structure.
So here's the key takeaway. Any kingdom, I don't care if it's an earthly empire or God's kingdom, has four non-negotiable parts. You have to have a king, the one in charge. You need citizens, the people of the kingdom. You need laws, the rules they live by. And you need territory, the actual physical land or domain. The whole story of the gospel of the kingdom is about how God establishes all four of these pieces.
So this brings us to the big finale, the end goal. What's the point of this thousands of years long story? What's that final harvest look like when the tree is all grown up?
The ultimate point of history within this story is something called the restoration of all things. And this isn't about scrapping the original creation and starting over. Not at all. It's about a complete and total renovation, where those invasive problems of sin and death are finally kicked out for good, and the original very good creation is brought back to its full glory.
And this isn't just a nice idea. It's stated pretty directly right here in the book of Acts. It's not presented as a vague hope, but as a future reality.
a fixed point in time that all of history has been moving toward. The goal is complete, total restoration.
And all of this leaves us with one final, huge question. If every single kingdom is built on those 4 elements we just looked at, and if history is the story of this kingdom growing, then everything has to start with the first and most important element. It all boils down to this one simple question. Who is the king?